when their guy plays some games. Alright, hi everybody, Weather Guy here. We are back with some more great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We're getting into part 2, case 4. We're doing our second summation examination of this trial. Oh boy, we just finished talking to the witnesses as well. And honestly, they were not a big help. I have considered the defense's counsel request for a further summation examination of the jury. And I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure. So, counsel, you will now proceed with your second summation examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman? We are, my lord. Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime. Oh man, I am tired of summations. They kill me. They're brutal. They're kind of tough. It's a lot of dialogue too for these. The accuser left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his? There was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed I might reconsider. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it? Dearie me, it was only a little book, hardly life-threatening even with a direct hit. Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tiny bit of trouble. Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. It gave me the sneezes. Guy is so clueless all the time. It's hilarious. It's great. It's fantastic. Yes. Considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury this time around, it seems. With one notable exception, of course. My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness testimony. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover, no one else was even at the scene to commit the crime. Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way. That means I'm afraid that during this summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts. How? What would even constitute a tangible explanation here? Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman and how? Those 2 details are all you need to provide. Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was conducted. And there I was thinking this might be hard. Mr. Ryu, you have to do it. Otherwise, this really will be where the trial ends. No pressure then. I have no idea how we're going to do this. That's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. I presume you are prepared, counsel? Oh, yes, my lord. Alright, Ryu. Focus your mind now. Slap. Yeah, there it is. A good old face slappies. Clearly, the key to the summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid. Or should I say, Mrs. Garrideb. We have a book that disappeared from the Garrideb's house on the evening of the incident, and the 4th book found in the victim's hand. There must be a way to link the 2. Yes, that's what we had to find. Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far, whatever it takes. You know, I have a feeling, this is going to sound really stupid, I have a feeling that the link that we're going to find is going to be inside the book. We're going to open it and it's just going to say property of Mr. Garrideb. Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Garrideb and how she reacts, even to the things other people say. This is good. That's important. That's going to come up obviously now. Jury examination. Very good. Man, we only have 2 mistakes to go. Alright, we're going to have to press all these. But as we know now, there are 4 books, not 3. Well, what difference does it make? There's every possibility that the fourth book, in fact, belongs to the defendant's landlord. Yes, that's the part I have a problem with. Sorry? Well, at the point the woman was stabbed, this landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he? Enjoying a fiery scrap with his wife or something, you said. That's not exactly how I put it, no. Well, anyway, the point is, the fellow and his wife were somewhere else when it happened. I think that's what you call a strong alibi. So it couldn't have been the landlord who did it, which only leaves the Nipponese fellow. Honestly, I can't see what all this palaver's about. It's a done deal, isn't it? I suppose it is, since I have nothing witty left to say. Let's double check our court record as well before we go on. Just make sure I'm not forgetting anything. It's just the book, our second crime scene photograph, which only shows the book, seemingly. Our first crime scene photograph, which is still fits. Book, which we still cannot open, it seems like. Tarnation. Lion's Bar. I'm just seeing if I see any identifying marks, you know? Besides the title. Doesn't seem to be. Alright, let's move on. Press. So, you might be willing to change your decision, you mean? Oh my, such a light on your face, but I'm afraid I shan't be swayed by emotion. Despite what you may think of me, I am a very modern, metropolitan, and rational woman. That's great. One reads the morning papers, it's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So why read them in the first place? You see, modern, metropolitan, and rational thinking, wouldn't you say? Not at all extreme. As I see it, an overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by overwhelmingly strong testimony. So despite one or two minor puzzlements, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. Modern, metropolitan, and rational logic, wouldn't you say? Ugh. Overwhelmingly. But us modern gals are always delighted to embrace new fads, you know. So I'd be only too happy to consider an exciting new theory if you could come up with one. I'd be happy to do that too, if only I could. Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern and metropolitan young lady. Right, I'm glad you omitted rational there. Alright.
Hold it!
But what about the possibility that the window was open? What about it? I mean, there's just no way it could have been. How can you be so sure? The prosecutor fellow over there said it earlier, didn't he? Witches in London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors. So no, that window wasn't open and us Londoners like sitting by the fire and staying warm, see? Now, I have a question. What if the window wasn't open, but then the fire started, and then Mr. Garrett decided, let's open the window, let's get the smoke out. That seems totally plausible, right? Very quickly opening it. But you couldn't categorically state that the window wasn't open, could you? It just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it. Then what's the point in even having windows, huh? Counsel, you will kindly refrain from childish bickering. Oh, sorry. Somehow I need to show there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. Because this young man isn't going to budge otherwise. Alright, let's press her on it.
Hold it!
But the little book was on fire at the time, was it not? With flames of love, I'll have you know. There's really no such thing as a loving incendiary bomb. Oh gosh, she's so scared. Well, he brought it upon himself, playing with fire to betray a fiery love. Isn't it? Well, don't you agree? Well, any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing, yes? But I think the argument might have arisen out of your misunderstanding, Mrs. Garrett. Never you mind that. The point is, we were just having a jovial little dispute, nothing more. And I won't have any more of these suggestions that has anything whatsoever to do with this crime. Right, well, we'll see about that. What about juror number 5? He doesn't seem to be turning a hair at Mrs. Gyarados' relentless onslaughts. It's almost as though he's used to it. What a gentle soul he is. Alright. Alright. Let's press him.
Hold it!
You just want to get this over with? How can you sit there and say something like that? Man's future is at stake here. Well, him and me both then, like I said before. What? I told you already, I'm a day laborer, aren't I? If I don't bring home readies with me tonight, you'll find me floating face down in the Thames tomorrow morning. What? You heard me. My missus isn't one to mess about, you know. She can be fierce, believe you me. Another shining example of marital bliss, then. Situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, well, you know, it's funny, but I can't quite remember. Sorry? It was too frightening, that's the thing. I must have blocked it out. Helpful. I wonder if Mr. Beat will ever be dragged into the Thames by his scarf. Don't even go there, Mr. Sato. Must be some way to jog his memory about this. Alright, now we press this crazy guy.
Hold it!
I'm having a tough time thinking of who to pit against each other, honestly. Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case? Whoops. Sorry, what's that? You'll have to speak up, lad. Could you tell us more about that fire? It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. It had 75 candles on the top, it did. What a sight to behold it was. You put candles on a cake? Was this some kind of devil worship? Of course not. It was an angel cake. To celebrate my birthday, obviously. Seems that's a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Ryu. Anyway, I mustered all my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but candles went flying all over the room. This is like exactly what happened. Smoke. Furniture caught and everything went up, the whole face filled with smoke. Definitely sounds like the devil worship to me. Come on, say he opened the window. Say he had to open the window. By the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold, but how did you catch a cold from a fire? What a fiasco it was. The grandchildren, bless them, water over me as they tried to put out the flames. And then, because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, we had to open all the windows to clear it. There we go. Somehow he has an identical experience randomly. The windows. The biting winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. I caught a terrible cold from it that put me in hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry. I knew it was devil worship all along. Something about this old man's story is playing on my mind for some reason. Alright. We needed to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsume, could have attacked the young woman on the street. As well as how he or she could have done it. Yes, but once again, the juror statements are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem convinced they're right, even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary. I think you're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation. Yes, I don't necessarily need to find contradictions between their assertions, just a connection might do the trick. Alright, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, go in for the strike. That's the spirit. Alright, let's do this. Alright, we're going to put this against this buddy. Because they're about the windows. These two jurors' statements clearly contradict one another. They do? How exactly, counsel? Don't point at me again. I told you it wasn't me. Oh, what's that you say? Speak up, lad, speak up. Juror number 3, do you see? Oh, me. Oh, see what, sir? Did you hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year? It seems, despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of winter. Well, yes, of course, because there was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open the... Yeah, exactly. Oh! Exactly. On the day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garadeb household. Mr. Garadeb had the following to say about it. The whole place was filled with smoke.
Oh my.
Oh man, here we go. Pursue. Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? Mrs. Garadeb. Oh dearie me. What is the meaning of this? How dare you imply that I'm hiding who I really am? It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now. Well, what is it? When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window? What? I beg your pardon, what are you insinuating? The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window. And what if we did? Oh, alright then, yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window, which can't have been easy since I continued to give him a justly deserved book battering. Even though your house was on fire? Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It would be terribly bad for their nerves to do otherwise. Of course, I should have realized. That's a significant step forward, Mr. Ryu. You managed to establish that the window was open. We simply must have that added to Mrs. Garadeb's former statement. Now you mention it, yes, the window was open at the time. I clean forgotten, but it's true. Now we press this. The fourth book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. And the title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Garadeb told us that he had been reading. Well, I really couldn't say. Look at all that coffee she's drinking, or tea rather, whatever it is. On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband the copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading? I did. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. And now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right. Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset? Because I couldn't, you insolent little man. I didn't remember. At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on, as you well know. I really don't. I barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it. Oh no, he's remembering. Holy cow, we're gonna get 4 at once. Sick. What is it, juror number 5? Dude, look at that face. He looks like a Punch-Out character that just got countered. So sick. You know something? I've remembered what it was. That memory I'd blocked out. Ah. It was listening to what this granny was saying. Brought it all flooding back. Who are you calling a granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Mrs. Garadeb, or the maid, I'll have you know. The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time. It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, like. I put my hand in my pocket for the wages I just earned that day. And I nearly died. There was a hole. Every last penny had dropped out. Oh dear, what a disaster. You haven't heard the half of it, boy. Oh? The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight. I've lost the day's wages, love. Next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear. Stuck into the wall next to me, it did, about an inch deep. No words, just terror. I could smell it then, you know. That god-awful stench of the Thames. I was sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I can tell you. Now, that's a real disaster, isn't it? I'll never use the word lightly again. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their rag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it. Mr. Rio, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined. Some of us just use Sosado takedowns. Oh no, I wasn't thinking that. Throwing household objects at people as well. It's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor, using a bow with a like. What? Attack? Who are you going to attack? Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think. Alright, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later. If I dare. Alright, now we press this.
Hold it!
Your wife really threw a kitchen knife at you? That's right. She was chopping meat with it. Had a tidy edge on it, believe me. Still, it's all memories, isn't it? It started with that smile she threw me when we were courting. And since then, the list of things she's thrown at me has grown along with our relationship. There was a cup, then a glass, then a pot, a kettle, a chair, a wardrobe, a cooker, a bathtub. Your wife must be even beefier than you. And things came to a head last week when she threw me right into the Thames. Still, she's not so bad when she's calmed down. She's a little sweetheart, really. I'm so happy for you. You want to know what I think? I think this whole idea of ladies first that we're so obsessed with in this country was thought up by some clever lads who've been tossed in the Thames a few too many times by their wives. That's a very interesting theory. What a terrible thought. On the face of it, this juror's statement just sounds like a really extreme anecdote. But I think it might turn out to be an extremely powerful weapon. A weapon I might be able to use to make the jurors accept an alternative explanation here. That's good to know. That's great. Now we press this, right? We haven't pressed this yet.
Hold it!
Did you change your statement from before? Well, yes, it was one of my most memorable birthdays. You see, I couldn't let it go unremembered. I'm sure the defendant will be delighted that you're using his trial to explore your past. And how is that memory related to this case exactly? Sorry, what's that? You'll have to speak up, I'm afraid. Never mind. He's as deaf as a post when he wants to be. But actually, this old man's anecdote might just provide the alternative explanation I need to make my point to some of the other jurors. Yeah. Use unlit candles the next time. And we have to go through this spiel with Sosado. Did we not finish our earlier pit between juror number 3 and juror number 6? Press him now. At the point when the victim was attacked on Briar Road, we know there was a small house fire in the Garrett household on the opposite side of the street. Well, yes, it certainly seems that way. And on account of the smoke, I imagine they would have had the windows wide open in spite of the cold. We also know that Mrs. Garrett was throwing flaming books at her husband. You know what this is, actually, by the way? You know what this reminds me of exactly? Like, to a T. Like, this is exactly this. SpongeBob. When Patrick is talking to Man Ray. You've probably seen this one. And Man Ray is trying to pretend to be a good citizen and give Patrick back his wallet. And he's going through all the explanations like, this wallet was found in your pocket. Are you Patrick Starr? I found this wallet on the floor. So this must be your wallet. Patrick's like, that makes sense to me. Man Ray's like, I'll take it. Patrick's like, well, it's not my wallet. That's exactly what this is. We're going through this very, very simple thing of throwing the book out the window and it landing in the street. We have so much information indicating that this definitely happened. The book is the same title as the book that is missing. The book is the same book that she said she threw. The book is burnt. It happened at the same time. It's just crazy that we're having to go so step by step through this. We're Man Ray right now, and juror number 3 is like Patrick. Or the jury as a whole, rather, I suppose. Her husband, who is backed into a corner by the window due to his wife's frenzied attack. Yes, that's right. So there's definitely a chance that one of the books could have flown past the man and out the window. Only... oh no. Only what? Only I can't really see how it could have gone all the way over to the other side of the road, that's all. Ah. So I don't really see how I can change my decision, really. I mean, they were on the 3rd floor, you fuckface. It can fly far. They're on the 3rd window, and she was enraged. That wasn't enough? What's it gonna take to persuade these people? Exactly, that's what I'm freaking saying, dude. Alright, now we press this.
Hold it!
Press everything. All the new statements, we gotta press them. We gotta find the hole to convince these people. Oh, we already did this one. We already did this one. We already did this one. Great. Fantastic. I thought her statement changed after. After we pressed her. Alright, so what do we do now? What's the pitting that we're gonna do? Alright, come on. Yeah. Alright, so this is actually new dialogue. We already did this, though. We already did his reactions. Alright. Oh! 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 Clicking. Things are clicking. Clicking, things are happening. There was a cake right there by the window as well. And I feel like something else that may have been missing from the cake. Besides... or there's also dishes there. Something else that may have been missing there is the knife. I really wish I could go back and look at that room again to see what their knives look like. But what if it wasn't just the book? What if she threw the knife out the window? That fits perfectly. Why is the guy still stuck on this, by the way? Whatever.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly have a deeply significant connection. Good grief, you mean they don't contradict each other? Explain, counsel, at once. Juror number 2, do you think perhaps that this could be one such novel alternative? Oh my, whatever do you mean? An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back. What are you talking about? We've demonstrated that the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated in Mr. Garrett's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way from the Garrett household to the street below. What's that now? After all, Mrs. Garrett could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4? What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole? I'm beginning to think that, ever since the true origins of this book came to light, perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened. Now you listen here, you English Eastern Gala. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house, but what? What was it? Come on, spill it. I'm really taking a big gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't any real evidence to back it up. But I'm certain that at the very least this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The other object... Yep. Boom. Boom.
Take that!
Juror number 4, Mrs. Garadev. What? What now? I must apologize in advance for this. But I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before? Good Lord, Counsel, what on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was lodged into the victim's back, man. Dude, no way the judge says man like that. My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garadev were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garadev was hurling anything she could at her husband, who'd been backed up against the window. A window that had been opened to clear the smoke, and through which a book sailed to land at the crime scene. You can't seriously believe that the book was found in the victim's grasp. Are you saying that it flew out of the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand? Huh. Even my missus hasn't got an aim like that. Yes, I admit there are many details we don't yet understand, but that's the point. That's precisely why we must not allow this trial to end, not right now. Oh my. Mrs. Garadev, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not? Yeah. Perfect. That's what we wanted to see. We're doing good. We're killing it. I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all. Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end now with so many unanswered questions. Mr. Foreman. I'd have to agree. Not that I think the granny didn't mind. Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either. All together now, ladies and gents. We did it. We passed another summation examination. We're heroes. Thank God. We did it. Oh, congratulations, Mr. Ryu. So, as a result of the defense's summation examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors called guilty against 4 now calling innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided. And this trial will continue. Perfect. That's all we wanted. You know? Alright. That is a good place to stop, actually. It's a little early, for sure. But that's definitely a good place to stop. Right after the summation examination. Right before we get into whatever big thing is coming next. Because I've noticed that this game really does a lot of 30-minute chunks of case stuff to go through. Whether it be talking to witnesses, whether it be investigating a room, whether it be doing these summation examinations. And I don't want to do another large 30-plus minute segment when I don't know exactly how long it'll be, because it might be even longer than that. And this is just a good rounded place to end it, right? Like, summation examination, easy peasy, clear, concise of what happened in this video. So, that being said, we will continue this next time. And I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm so glad that it seems like we found out what happened. That's huge. It's wonderful. We don't know the details of what happened, but we seem to have found where the murder weapon originated and the likely cause of death. Like how it happened, right? But we don't know why our client's books are there. We don't know how the book got all the way over to her hand. I believe the knife could have thrown that far, but that's it. Um, yeah. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Make sure you take care of yourselves. Make sure you take care of others, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.